talk about the best trades from the week of June 30th, review the higher time frame structure, and plan what to watch for next week. To start, coming into this week, let's talk about whether buyers or sellers have momentum on different time frames. So weekly time frame, uptrend, bullish, daily time frame, also bullish, and intraday time frame bullish as well. So very strong bullish trend after the breakout of the 6102 range from the prior week. We have been in a very steady uptrend right into closing at the highs on Friday. So the plan coming into this week was for sellers, they need to put in a local high and then hold below the prior day low, the Friday low at 6183, hold below that, see failure of that, and then reoffer that in order to see first pullback after this large trend move. And for buyers, the objective for buyers coming into this week was to defend any back tests of the Friday low at 6183 or put in a failed breakdown there and see continuation through the Friday high in order to see continuation of this trend up. Bullish as long as above 6183 was the plan coming into this week, and what we saw on Sunday from the Sunday open was continuation of the failed breakdown that happened late day on Friday, kind of late day squeeze on Friday, and then small gap and go and continuation up Sunday into Monday. And after Monday, what we saw was finally some consolidation after this large trend move that we've been in. We finally put in a little local high and kind of established a new basing range, which was more defined after the first couple days of the week, and ended up shaping up into a consolidation range, bullish base up at the highs with a range high of 62.68 and a range low of 62.27. As we talked about last week, absolutely no reason to really start thinking short until sellers have proven some sort of strength and ability to at least make a lower low or hold underneath a prior day low, which up until this point, absolutely no ability to do that. So after this basing range was formed, then we have established base here. So you would need to see a base failure, a failure of one of these lows, and again off on a back test and continuation down before you start thinking reversion or thinking short at all. Once we established this low on Monday and then this high also, and kind of established some of the potential weekly range here on Monday, we knew that the best setups going forward potentially would be a failed breakdown of the Monday low or look below and fail of this range low. And then we knew that buyers would need to clear the highs at 62.68 in order to see continuation higher, and the action in the middle of this range would likely be choppy and very trapped, especially after Tuesday whenever we defended this low, the 62.27, obvious demand here on all these back tests. And by Tuesday, we really had established this as the range low. Then we can look to our basing range rules and, kind of fade the edges if you wanted to do that. Potential shorts into 62.68 here Wednesday. That was rejected overnight and we faded back underneath the range. Would have been a really great setup to get a look below and fail of the Monday low and the range lows here on Tuesday. However, we did not sweep the Monday low and instead just held that, and that would have been a really nice playbook setup, which would have favored a ranged reversal up in a really great position to get long if we had swept under 62.24, reclaimed the range lows at 62.27, look below and fail targeting the opposite side, the range highs at 62.68. We didn't end up getting that. That was our top setup we were watching. Unfortunately, did not get that in this instance. Let's talk about the best trade setups from this week. Several opportunities on both the long and the short side, depending on how you wanted to play this. The failed breakdown of this morning low here, we caught this one, sweep this low, hold 62.27, put in a failed breakdown, and then actually swept that. One more opportunity, had a re-entry opportunity here, which ended up playing out well into the range highs. Of course, we talked about, if you want to be on the short side, you're probably looking to play against the 62.68 area. Several opportunities to short against the range high here. Top setup we were watching that we did not get was the look below and fail here, but buying back tests, the first back test of the 62.27 after selling from the highs here. Buyers really showed up here multiple times on this, and we ended up getting that range reversal back up to the highs. And then top setup of the week, we took this in the room, was the failed breakdown of this Tuesday low at 62.40 and also the mid pivot of the range. A failed breakdown on the mid pivot, which would target rotation to the highs, and a failed breakdown of the 62.40 low. We caught this. That was the best performing setup. That ended up getting the traversal up into the range highs and ended up clearing the range highs, holding above there, and then positive NFP reaction really took this to new all-time highs. Really nice continuation on that trade. Ended up closing that trade near new all-time highs for 70 points. And then the last short opportunity really was into this 63.30 area. Ended up putting in a high there Thursday and then retracing most of that Thursday move after the low volume holiday. Overnight, international markets ended up fading most of that. Pretty nice downtrend there off of the rejection of 63.30 was one of the better short opportunities if you'd like to play that side. Overall, pretty textbook consolidation and continuation week. Establish a new base at the highs. This is a bullish base until proven otherwise. Until this base fails, you assume that this base is going to resolve to the upside. Look to be long from the range lows, especially any look below and fails of the range lows. Ended up breaking out the range highs, and then a positive data catalyst, saw a nice continuation on the break from this range. Looking into next week, Thursday and Friday, we had the first indication of a little bit of a reversion pullback after this massive rally. So you want to stay, bias to the upside as long as this range break holds around 62.68 and this Friday low. If the Friday low fails and we start to hold under 62.68, you can expect rotation back down towards the mid pivot of this prior range, 62.52, 62.44, somewhere in there. See if buyers can step in and hold the midpoint. If the midpoint fails, you expect continuation down into the prior range lows and the 62.27 higher time frame. The larger pullback will be when this 62.27, the 62.24 low. If we actually get that full traversal back down the range, buyers are going to want to hold or trap here for rotation back up, and holding below 62.27 next week opens up a larger reversion to retrace more of this rally. Buyers' goal for next week will to be establish a new range potentially above 62.68 and between 63.30, this prior week high, potentially wider into 62.27 to 63.30, and establish a new basing structure here, and then clearing 63.30 is what is going to lead to continuation to the upside, and some fib extensions here, potential targets. Resistance next week, 63.52, 63.70, and 64.25.